Welcome to Mutual Fund. The Sahi Hai presents Smart Nivesh, Sahi Nivesh, partnered by the Times Network. Today we are focusing on financial goal setting and what are some investment strategies that can help you achieve them. Our first episode is focused on a topic that resonates with many: managing loans while investing simultaneously. While it isn't a goal as such, it opens the gateway for achieving many goals. Now, to guide us through this, we are bringing two experts to the table. Joining us today is Adhil Shetty, co-founder of Bank Bazaar, who will shed light on smart borrowing and loan management strategies. Alongside, we have Kalpesh Ashar of Full Circle Financial Planners, who is a SEBI-registered investment advisor who will demystify the art of balancing debt repayment and investments for long-term success. Together, they'll provide actionable insights and practical tips to help you take control of your finances. Let's get started and take a step closer to smarter Nivesh and a brighter financial future. Adhil and Kalpesh, welcome to this very special episode. And we are going to be talking about investments and we're talking about loans. But before I get into how to figure out the right balance between having the right amount of loans and that kind of a liability and having an investment portfolio, let us just talk about the latest trend. The latest trend is personal loan is at an all-time high. Okay, the trend says that people are investing. Look at the DMAT numbers, look at our SIP numbers, look at people taking loan and investing in the equity market, okay? People are also paying back that loan, okay? But as compared to them paying back that loan or the repayment trend, the taking up of loans is still very high. So what do you think, how can we rationalize this kind of a trend? What is happening?
Yeah. So great question, Kavita. Firstly, I think I agree with you that it's good that people today are aware of mutual funds.
Right.
They're aware of SIP. And I think India has done well, the consumers have done well, SEBI has done well, that we have a culture of investing in systematic investment plans and a lot of money is coming in via mutual fund into the stock market. That I think is a good trend. What is not a good trend and what is a red flag is we tell people never borrow in order to invest. Firstly, it's not allowed. And secondly, it's very, very risky. When we think about borrowing, right, we think about borrowing for a house. We think about borrowing for a car. We think about borrowing to put up a machine or a plant or a factory. Borrowing is to do the right kind of investment so the future is better.
Right.
So we always advise people it's very risky, especially when the markets go down.
True.
If you're borrowing.
So opening up the discussion, Kalpesh, I really want to, I want you to help our viewers understand the right kind of balance. Can there be an actual balance between loan and investment? Can one really do that?
First of all, I completely concur with what Adhil is saying about, it's a complete red flag, and in fact a dark red flag, that anybody is even nurturing the thought of borrowing and then investing that money, especially in, equity market.
Sure.
Fundamental. Secondly, in the classification of loans, and if I'm talking from a perspective of a financial planner, okay, investing is something which is for growth.
Sure, exactly.
And people still, in the concept of loans, have that notion that, we can actually take loans for everything. Whereas I would simply classify it as good loan and bad loan. That's about it.
Okay.
And in my, purview, I think the only loan an individual should be taking is for his own first house to reside.
Okay.
And the buck stops there.
That's it.
That's it. Because
we want to travel. We want to travel
exactly.
every year.
So now that
we
is
want
where
to renovate our house every Diwali. There are so many expenses.
So that is where I would say the concept of financial planning from a very primary stage comes into the picture.
So you're trying to tell me that you plan for all of these goals,
You plan
which can
for
be
all
termed
of
as
these
short-term goals.
and a person's behavior is primary to it. Because he should not think beyond his means or his assets or his reach, basically financial reach, to fulfill those goals.
Okay.
Because then it goes into a deep abyss. And we have a parameter set in financial planning. It's a thumb rule that you have your 25-30% of your income dedicated towards an EMI, and you can easily do it. So there's no two ways about residing in a house and buying a house and taking a loan for it. But again, if you say that taking loans for marriages or vacations and all, I think that's a sign of non-planning.
Sure. So a home loan is a good loan and rest everything else is bad loan according to you. How
Absolutely.
do you classify?
Yeah. So in the sense that, again, cash flow is the mother of all. The primary, document which I would say.
Sure.
That determines whether a person can afford all those other loan repayments without disturbing his lifestyle. And second, whether he's able to invest regularly. Because for me, those two are primary things. That whether you are living a lifestyle as per your means, and second, you're investing regularly. But surely a personal loan is a big no. And again,
Sure.
even if you see and he will completely agree, that the rate of interest is a direct mirror that home loan is the cheapest, whereas a personal loan is the most expensive one to take, which automatically should deter a person that what to take and what not to take.
But then taking a leaf from what he said, all right, agreed that you want to live a better lifestyle, you should be having a house of your own. A lot of aspirational dreams that we have and goals that we have lined up for ourselves. At the same time, we know investments are also important. So how can one go about it? Because the day you start investing, okay, just take an example of someone who's just got into the job circle, okay, first salary, they want to invest, but they also have dreams. They have short-term dreams, they have medium-term dreams, they might be having a long-term dream of having a house of their own. How do we strike a balance? How do we actually prioritize our goal and invest accordingly if, according to Kalpesh, you need to plan for a world tour or maybe an expensive wedding? You plan well and then you can put that money over there. Don't take a loan for it.
Right. So here's my thought, Kavita. It's a fairly complex question, but I'll try and answer it in three simple parts, which is what we tell consumers at Bank Bazaar. So first we say that investing and loans are almost two things which you need to manage in parallel. So what I mean by that, right, is you might be saving for your daughter's education. I'm saving for my daughter's education. You might be saving to buy a house. So you have to have your investments, but you also might need a home loan. You might need a car loan. You might need an education loan. So it's almost as if we have to balance these two, ideally, right? I like Kalpesh's number. I'd say maybe 30%, 25-30% on EMI. 20% on savings or investment, and maybe 50% for your household expenses. Different people will have different approach, but broadly I think those are the numbers. Secondly, right, I think that if you only have to do one, you have to do your loan because your credit score is important, right? So if you're left with a choice saying you can either only manage your loan or only invest, then you have to do only your loan because that's an obligation. You can't let your credit score go bad.
Exactly.
And that's the tough situation some people might be in. Lastly, right, I think there are a few smart things one can do to financially plan. So for example, put away money for your annual holiday if you're planning well. Put away money for the wedding. But there are also smart things you can do. For example, if you're using and paying back your credit card bills on time, you still can accumulate reward points. And there are people who plan properly, right, who will get their air flight covered by the reward point they built on that particular credit card. Or there are people who will say that, okay, I have this expense, but I'll take it on a no-cost EMI. So I'd say one, try and balance the two because they're two independent life activities.
Exactly.
One is saving, investing, the other is loans. And if you can make use of smart planning, like what we've discussed, or for example, refinancing your home loan so you can save something over there, there are some smart financial hacks that one should also be aware of.
Talking about home loan, how do you actually accumulate the amount of corpus that you might want to pay off before your loan tenure? How can we do that with the right investment strategy? If that's
so again, absolutely, time and early bird catches worm concept. So if you have, an aspiration for a home, okay, obviously today we are talking about anything between 20% to 25% as a down payment. The remainder is furnished by the bank. So to each his own, and the more you have a capacity to make the down payment, lesser the burden on the loan which you will be taking.
Right.
So that, I would say the first, second and third step which you take is going to be towards building up the down payment corpus. Now that again is under the ambit of financial planning, that if you want to do it in 3 years, say given a target, most realistic in the next 3 years, then obviously the investments which you make are going to be in a safe asset class, which is ideally fixed income or maximum a hybrid type of a structure. You can't be putting money for 3 years for a down payment in equity.
But for that, one also needs to be comfortable with the loan amount. How do you know how much loan is good for you?
So ideally, a rule of thumb could be that you can say, hey, 30% of my disposable income I can use as EMI and proceed on that basis. So assuming that 30% goes for EMI, 20% for savings or investment, and 50% is your household expenses, which you need for running. So you can say 30% EMI, what loan amount I'll get. So that could be one rule of thumb trying to establish it.
So talking about a loan portfolio, having a home loan makes sense. I mean, you can really plan it really well. You can sit with your financial planner. But for small-term goals, what should be your process in the sense, in terms of your investment asset class? What should be your choice of investment, choice of asset class that you might want to start your investments in? And a sort of bucket list, if you have, how can you go about it?
See, one simple way of looking at it, and I think Kalpesh alluded this earlier, if you're saving for more than 5-10 years, let's say, for example, a daughter's education, you're saving for something that you want to save for retirement, I typically recommend a very simple approach. Index mutual funds, a Sensex or a Nifty fund, is a great idea. The reason I say that, right, look at the last 20 years in India. These funds have consistently given a 12% plus CAGR. That's an incredible return. I know sometimes you get an SMS saying make 25, 30% and we get greedy, but actually 12% is amazing. It's really amazing return, and Sensex and Nifty are giving it. So I think if you can wait 5-10 years, go with a Sensex or a Nifty, right? If you need the money in less than 3 years, then I'd say you have to either go with a debt mutual fund, or if, like my parents, you're extremely conservative, you might choose to do a FD, but the problem with that is the tax eats into it. So I'd say if you have a long horizon, Sensex, Nifty, mutual fund, fill it, forget it. It's a great idea to do an SIP on that. If you need the money in less than 3 years, I think a short-term debt fund, or if you want something safer, think about it. Those would be the right places to keep your money.
So plan it well, that's the key. But then what if you don't plan well, and what if you want to take a vacation, and for that you've taken a loan, and then you need to have a repayment strategy? How do we plan that?
So then the simple word is compromise. Because then somewhere in your day-to-day lifestyle, if you take a loan and if your urge is more than your reality, that is the urge to go on a vacation or urge to splurge, I would say, is more than the reality. I think at some point of time you have to pinch yourself and say that, okay, I'll do that. But once that is achieved, though I've taken a wrong step, I'm going to compensate. So it's like after feasting, you're fasting. Probably if your profession pays you well and you are able to compensate for that, because this will have a bearing on your day-to-day monthly budget.
Right.
It has to have a bearing somewhere, because you've taken a loan, it's at 10, 12, 14%. It's not a normal 7-8% type of a loan. And it's come all of a sudden. You are not prepared for it. So that could be one of the, I think I would say the way out. Or if it's more drastic, it could have a repercussion on your other financial goals as well.
Exactly.
And that is not at all desirable.
Sure.
So these two things are I would say, the after effect of something which is done without a thought, which is done immediate basis, and it has to be paid up for somewhere.
Exactly. So you better have a repayment strategy. But then two questions for you. First, the impact that we will see on our credit score. And second, we know about BNPL, we know about people taking a personal loan, but then a lot of people have multiple credit cards and they have multiple outstanding going on. So that also has an impact on your day-to-day expenses and also on your investment planning. How bad is that?
Yeah, so let's focus first on the credit score, right? And this is absolutely critical. Everyone has seen the ads. We see it on Bank Bazaar all the time. If your credit score is over 800, you'll get 0.3% lower on your home loan. You'll get 0.5% better on this home loan. Your credit score is critical and will stay with you for life. One of the biggest things, people don't realize is every time you're late on an EMI, every time you're late on a credit card repayment, it affects your credit score, and it'll take you much longer to make it back compared to that one mistake which let it go bad. So credit score is very important. If you have a credit score over 800, fight to keep it there. If your credit score is below 800, then make sure you pay your bills on time, so that 6 months from now your credit score is over 800. Now, as far as credit cards go, right, credit cards today are a necessity in the sense Everyone uses them when they go out, when they pay e-commerce, when they shop online. However, you have to pay your credit card bill every time on time if you're a smart user of credit card. One of the things we recommend, if you're in a situation where you have credit card outstanding, you're not able to pay your bills, you're not able to clear even the minimum, or even if you're able to clear the minimum but not the full amount, think about what your next best option is. And interestingly, right, the next best option to having a credit card outstanding is to actually convert it to EMI.
Okay.
So I'd say that don't run multiple outstanding credit card bills, not tracking the dates, not tracking how much is due. You have to pay all your bills every time in full.
All right.
Can I
sure.
add something, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
On the same point, just one small thing, and we've seen it, and it's utterly surprising that in the credit card, even in today's times, we have people yet understanding, or I would say misunderstanding, that the minimum balance due is the ultimate payment.
Exactly, yeah. I know a lot of people who do it all the time.
That's really sad.
That's forever, they pay just the minimum due.
And they think they're done with even after paying the minimum balance due, and the interest is huge. It's mammoth, which builds up on the outstanding amount.
So if you're paying the minimum due, your scoring is going bad? Credit score is going bad?
Yes, if you're only paying the minimum due, right, it's not helping your credit score. You can, however, increase your credit score by paying the full amount on time. I think we need to educate people that these are powerful products. They can give you benefits, but use them prudently. So when you pay your bill back in time, you'll see over 6 months, right, your score improving, and you can aspire for that 800 plus if you just fell below it.
A lot of people treat credit card as an emergency fund also.
I think that's wrong.
Okay, why?
Because a contingency fund, an emergency fund, has its own identity and its own thing. Because even in our financial plans, when we write one thing is a contingency fund is something which you need within 24 hours. It's under your nose, and you do not expect any goodies from it. So when you have a credit card, again, you will swipe it and think that's a contingency fund. The repayment is that hanging sword on you. So you've, as it is, done that in a distress, and you're adding one more abstract distress in time to come.
Sure. So, Adhil, we've already spoken this, and this point has been highlighted by both of you. Delaying the process of important goals, maybe a child marriage or child education. Having a very heavy loan portfolio can actually eat up into these kind of investments, which are very important for you. If you could explain through example.
So, when we did a recent aspiration index, and this is the 7th year of the Bank Bazaar aspiration index, number one goal in India is saving for child education. Number one goal, year after year, saving for child education. Now, what we say is try and pay down if your loans are already high, because it might be eating into your saving and investment. There are two opportunities, I think, in today's situation where someone can look to consolidate and reduce their EMI outflow. So one idea that we're offering people is something called a refinance. So I'll give you an example. Someone out there listening might have a home loan at 9.5%, which they're paying EMI. But today, right, they might find that they're eligible for a new loan at 8.5%. So that means they can refinance. Essentially, on a 20 lakh loan with 10 years left, this refinance from 9.5 to 8.5% can save you 1.3 lakhs. The second idea, which is even more powerful, right, is you can refinance, but don't take a lower EMI because the rate is lower. So tell the bank, I'll refinance, but I'll continue paying the same EMI.
Okay.
And there you can save 2 lakhs on a 20 lakh home loan. So I think this is a time wherein if you're finding that your obligations are very high, more than 30% of your salary is going as EMI, you can think about strategies, right, which can help you come back. And prepayment is the best strategy. And if you do a refinance, if you keep your EMI the same, we call it a switch hit, there's a good opportunity in the next 5 years. You could be in a much better situation than you are now.
Sure. So a few investments, especially child education or even child marriage, if at all I want to include that. Some part of it can be your investment portfolio and some part can be your loan. Is that okay? Does that work?
So again, a little bit of bifurcation there.
Okay.
I would still go in and concur to children's higher education getting a loan.
Okay.
But children's marriage and getting a loan, I think that is a bit pompous. A child is your asset, a part of your family whom you are building up the career for. And as a parent, everybody would aspire to do it. But don't go beyond your means, or don't be, bombastic about the education, because the education cost is huge today.
Yes, you are true.
Huge. And like what he said, the aspirations are boundless.
Single mistake that people do while managing their loans and investment, and an advice for someone who is just starting off with investments and also trying to take a loan.
Okay, so first and foremost is plan everything systematically. Okay, if you have planned everything systematically, set realistic goals. And when you are planning to take a loan, take it to build up an asset.
So Kavita, I must start with a caveat. It's much easier giving advice than following advice. But I'd say if you're young and you're starting out, SIP, index fund, really kudos to all the AMCs, kudos to SEBI. I think it's a brilliant product. If you can just set aside every month, Sensex, Nifty, go into the index, you'll be in a great spot 20 years from now. And for your loan, watch your credit score, improve your credit score, and basis your credit score, make sure you get the best quality product, right? That's out there when you take a home loan or you take a car loan or an education loan.
All right, so that's all on this episode of Mutual Fund Sahi Hai presents a Smart Nivesh, Sahi Nivesh, partnered by the Times Network, where we got insights into how to manage loans while building your financial future. Stay tuned to this series as we will identify more goals and find out ideal investment strategies to manage those goals for you. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.